it might be like a refresher for you, and you might say, oh my God, I know this, what's she talking about? We know all of this. But it will just give all of us an opportunity to learn. I'm so glad to be here because I'm learning with all of you, and Swami has a purpose for everything, and I think today's Swami's purpose is that we all learn together. So, dealing with anxiety and stress, it is such a common topic. You see it everywhere, on the computers, on the news, on the TV, everywhere. And basically what I'm going to attempt to do today is bring forth the same topic from both the clinical perspective and also Swami's perspective. And so we'll have a little bit of both, and it's so ironic that Swami has said some of the same things that many of the clinicians have done research about and proven in different capacities. So it's very interesting to see how we can do the flow. And before I start off, I just wanted to thank Swami for giving us this opportunity to be here and just think of what he tells us about different things. And one of the most important things is the experiences we have in our life. He said all our experiences in this world are momentary and unreal. They're like passing clouds. He wants us not to be worried about them. You need not be too much worried about them. You're marching forward. Continue your life's journey with steadfast faith in God. And I know sometimes it's very difficult to do that, but let's see what he advises us and helps us to be able to do that, to be steadfast in our faith to him. So let's do a quick check-in. How many of you are anxious today? Okay. How many of you are stressed today? And I know the common question is, what is the difference between stress and anxiety? So stress is a reaction to something temporary. So we all get stressed when we're doing different things. When we are cooking, when we're cleaning the house, when we're driving somewhere. Stress is a response that our body has to deal with different things. So our blood pressure goes up, our heart rate goes up, our breathing goes up. And then sometimes the reason is very temporary. It's like, I have to drive my kids to school and it's almost 8:30 and then you're not ready, so we all get stressed. And then there is another reason where, where it is permanent, but we'll come to permanent section. So with this temporary one, when the stress happens, after I drop off my kid and they're gone to school, then my stress is gone and I go drink my coffee. So that stress is gone. So it's very temporary, it's ephemeral. Whereas with anxiety, sometimes the reasons are more permanent. It may be unknown. Sometimes I may have anxiety for no reason. Sometimes I may have anxiety because of certain reasons. We'll delve into the details in a second. But basically, for us, sometimes our stress today could be because we had to come here on time, we had to do this, and then, of course, there was a traffic jam on, the road, 696, will I get here on time, all those little things that bother us. So now let us look at this. There's this little boy here. I know they're both cute. But this little boy is running from the tiger. He's really, really anxious. He's really stressed. And he's running from the tiger. The tiger's really cute. The tiger's ferocious and is running after him. What would you do if you were in this boy's place? How many of you would run from the tiger? And how many of you would not run from the tiger? Power to you if you don't run from the tiger. But that's the right thing to do. We have to freeze. We all know the technical details. We have to freeze, we have to climb a tree, all those things. But we run because there are two bosses in our brain. And so I know there's so many experts here, doctors and neuropsychologists, but I'm going to explain in very layperson terminology. There are two bosses in the brain. One of them is the prefrontal cortex, the other one is the amygdala. So what happens is, suppose you give me a chocolate. My eyes see the chocolate, it goes to my brain. And there's one part of the brain which collects all the data. It's called the thalamus, and it sends it to the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex. So then we know we saw the candy. Then we know that this is a candy. And so what happens is the thalamus is closer to the amygdala. So the amygdala is the place where we have a fear, fight, flight, freeze response from. So the amygdala says, Sailaja, eat this candy. You love candies. Or it might say, don't eat this candy, this has peanuts. You threw up 10 years ago when you ate the candy. So this amygdala stores all our stories, all our messages there, and so it tells us. So your amygdala, my amygdala, and all the brothers' amygdala here has the story that the tiger is a dangerous animal and we have to run from the tiger. Suppose now you're a zookeeper. I know none of us are zookeepers. If you're a zookeeper, would you be scared of the tiger? We will not be scared of the tiger because there our story is different related to the tiger. There we are feeding the tiger loves us. I mean, of course, it might take us some habituation, it will take us some practice to get there. But still, we will like the tiger might like us, may growl at us, but that's okay, we'll be able to feed the tiger eventually. But then, basically, then we come to this place where there's like this, I found this cute little picture, the boy with the tiger. He is like in the place where he loves the tiger. Actually, I do have some clients who are in some Arabic countries who have cheetahs and leopards as pets. And I said, how do you do that? I said, I can't even, see them in the zoo. I'm scared of them. But basically, it just depends upon how we perceive certain situations. Some situations might be easy for us. Some of you might love driving on the highway. How many of you love driving on the highway? See? And I'm scared of driving on the highway. You and me both. And so then basically the thing is, it's because of our perception of the highway, we feel that it's scared. Some of us get scared of the spiders, some of us get scared of dogs, and that's the story our amygdala has. So some of those things are like the secret or hidden causes of anxiety, because let's look at the other causes. Like sometimes we have personal factors, emotional factors, and environmental factors. In the personal factors, it's family related things, discussions, arguments we have with our spouses, with our children, with our family, with the extended family. And then other factors related to work, work related stresses are there, our clients, our colleagues, our people around us. And then with the career, we want to improve our career, not improve, stay at home, not stay at home, money. All those things are like different factors that cause us to have some form of anxiety or the other. And once again, it is our perception of this anxiety. I have to tell you a small story that Swami used to say, and many of you probably heard this story. There was a farmer who lived in a village. He was a very dedicated farmer. Every day he would get up in the morning, go to his farm. His wife would get up with him. She would cook some food, bring it for him. He would eat the food, bring the produce, come back in the evening, eat dinner with the children, go sell the produce. And then, they had this beautiful life. The children, they would talk about how their school was, how their life was. Everything was going very well, very, very happy. Then, as their life was going on, they were content. Everything was going well. There was no arguments, no fights, nothing. And then one day when he came home, there was a pot of gold coins in front of his house. So this pot of gold coins, they brought it inside. This is God's blessing that we have this pot of gold coins. Let's bring it inside. They brought it and they started counting the coins. So the farmer, his wife and the children, they counted the coins. There were 99 coins, not 100, 99. So there should be one more coin somewhere. Let's look for that one more coin. It should be somewhere. And they looked everywhere around the house, in the house. It should have fallen down. So they said, oh, even then he was like, because he was a very wise person, and so he said, okay, let's give up. Maybe God wanted 99, but let's make effort to make up for that one gold coin. So then he started working more. He got a job in the local factory. Then he would go to that factory after his work there overtime, and like stressing himself to make up for that one more gold coin. And where do you think the contentment went after that? He was not gone. exactly that way. And he was not able to spend time with his family, and his family was missing him, and he was sad, and he was tired, he was angry. All those things started compounding those factors. So basically, like in one of Swami's tenets, he talks about, sealing on desires. We'll talk about that in a few more minutes. But basically, it is like some of those personal factors and personal perceptions of what we are contented with. I was listening to, I know many of you watched Kaun Banega Crorepati. Last week there was a wonderful couple, and I'm blanking on their name, I know her name was Rani. They're two doctors who came here. They went to Johns Hopkins University she's a gynecologist and he's an internal medicine person. They came here, they studied here 30 years ago, went back, and they started practicing in a tribal village, and they really converted the whole tribal village and started providing service there for so many people. The infant mortality rate, which was almost 80%, is now like 2% or 3% or something like that. They've done so much work, and many people ask them that same question. You could have stayed in America and made lots of money, and why did you come here? Because she and he were school toppers and everything. They said, no, this is where we have our contentment in. So we create our own contentment. Some of us like to be content with 3 idlis, some of us need 6 idlis. So it's like, where do we drop those lines, right? Then with anxiety, sometimes they're emotional factors, and sometimes it's beyond our control. We don't know, like, because Magdala has some stories, we don't know why certain things bother us. Once one young girl was watching something on TV, and then she got so worried that she was going to become a pedophile, and then her mother was watching the same show, nothing happened to her. So it's like sometimes we don't know why our emotions are triggered in certain ways. It could be because of genetic factors, physical factors, socioeconomic factors. It could be because of environmental nature versus nurture. Sometimes we don't need to get into those details. It's always good to seek help from outside at that time when we are at this place where this anxiety is just not going. Like sometimes when our children go to colleges, we say, I'm so anxious about them. But there's no need for us to be anxious about them. But automatically, sometimes we develop that anxiety. Then it might be good to talk to somebody who's objective, somebody who will help us to sort it out and change the story in the amygdala. So think of it that way. It's changing the story in the amygdala and coming to this place where we can deal with things in a different manner. And sometimes the physical factors. You might be in an apartment, a home that you don't like. You may be in a city that you don't like. You may be in a place that you don't like. I know so many people who came to United States and had to go back to India. They said, no, we just cannot do it. It's causing us too much anxiety. And they gone back to India and they message me and say they're doing so well and they're so happy there. So we just don't know. Once again, it's the stories our mind has, the feelings that we have, and the way in which we perceive things and deal with things. Of course, with environmental factors, it's always there. Sometimes things are very expensive, things are not expensive, things are not available. We want this. That want is such a big thing in our mind, and we feel that if we don't have that, I'm not happy. But once we get it, we're not very happy either. So it's like one of the cycles that goes on in our mind. And as for many of us now, the political situation is like very dramatic, and so whenever you switch on TV, it automatically creates some kind of anxiety and some kind of discussion for different people. So in other words, it's like this, every thought that we have has a behavior and an action. So some of our thoughts are like something bad is going to happen, and then our behavior is like, oh my God, I have to get away from here, or I get scared, there's freeze, flight, or fight about a certain situation. And then we have this body sensations, which is like, increased heart rate, breathing, muscle tension, and sweating. And if you think about it, like that feeling that we have, we also call that, a safety-seeking behavior. We might think that anxiety is so bad, but anxiety, amygdala is trying to keep us safe when we are dealing with a certain situation. So it's like our grandmother telling us to wear, a sweater when it's 20 degrees Fahrenheit in India. Sometimes my grandmother used to do that. I don't know what your grandmother's, but wear a sweater or you're going to get a cold. And now here 20 degrees is like summer. But basically it's that part of it where, the amygdala is trying to caution us that something might happen. Like when I'm going to my math exam, I was not good in math, so I would always feel anxious. So, but still, I did go to my math exam and I passed. But basically the thing is, that anxiety is like a safety-seeking behavior. So when you get anxious, and as I'll talk to you later about dealing with that anxiety, because we are not going to fight the anxiety, we are not going to stop the anxiety, we are not going to eliminate the anxiety, because we cannot do that. It will never be going. Stress and anxiety are our friends. They're always going to be with us. And The anxiety actually is a safety-seeking behavior. It's trying to keep us safe from something that's scary, something that's dangerous, something that it thinks is dangerous. And so let's try to look at different ways in which we can do it. So far, does anybody have any questions, anything that you feel like, oh my God, what did you say?
I just want to say thank you for explaining that it's something that happens and it cannot be controlled. And the way you explained it with the amygdala and previous experiences, genetics and everything playing a role, I think that was very helpful.
Can you repeat it, because many people would have not heard?
I just wanted to say thank you for bringing up the factor of how it's not something that we can just control by ourselves, and that the brain plays a role in it, and it's dependent on previous life experiences, genetics, and other factors. I think that was really helpful, because sometimes we think we can shut it down, or we tell people that it should just go away. Why are you feeling anxious is a question that we tend to ask even children. So I appreciate you sharing that explanation. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have to tell you a very personal experience. I have a daughter, and she's now grown, but when she started driving, she's the baby, she's my baby. So now though she's grown, and she started driving, and I could never sit in a passenger seat. So I told her, Ramya, it's not you, it's me. It's going to take me some time. You're driving, you're doing a good job with that, and it's just me. So, I think I'm over that now. I'm not 100% sure, but though she's independently driving in Baltimore and everything, Maryland, but still for me, she's my baby. So that is my perception. My amygdala still thinks of it that way. So it is going to take me some time for that. So it's okay. For me, I have to accept that that's what I'm going to be scared of. We have to accept that we are going to be scared on the highway. That's okay. That if my husband laughs, that's okay. But he doesn't. He's a good man. So, but basically, it's just that part of it. It's some of those things that just happen, So we just have to accept. Like for me, making tomato bath, I can do without any anxiety. But if he has to do, I think he'll be anxious. I think so. I don't know. But so some things that we can do without anxiety, and some things that we can't, and we just have to accept that part of it. And so the biggest thing to deal with anxiety. So I know we hear when we open Google or internet, they'll say do breathing, read books, go for a walk, do some yoga. All those are wonderful things. So they're wonderful things. They're like the Tylenol for dealing with your headache. So, but the bigger thing is for us to change the story in the amygdala, right? So, and sometimes we can't change the story. Like with my daughter's driving, I cannot change that story. It's still going to be there. But first, befriend your body, understand your body, understand, both physically what we can be. I'm allergic to this, I don't like this. Or when I see, suppose I listen to news at 5 o'clock in the evening, I cannot deal with it. Because the news is like the crime reports. I said, I'm not going to listen to the news at 5 o'clock in the evening. So some of those things where you understand your body, understand that certain things are going to be different. If, now I see, the hall outside is beautiful because all of you are here and it's very beautiful. But suppose I stay here till 10 p.m. and it's dark outside, I'll think there's somebody in the corridor, somebody's looking at me, there's a ghost. So that is how our perceptions become, that is how thoughts become. So we have to understand that that's the way my body is, and I have to tell myself, no, now I'm tired, now I have to go sleep, and now I have to go eat, whatever it is. I have to tell myself that's the way my body behaves. And know the triggers, because some triggers are, each one of us, because of our socio-economic factors, because of our cultural factors, nature versus nature, we grew up in certain ways. Certain things are very, they move us. We may be less compassionate or more compassionate. We may be stronger or not stronger. Certain things make us really sad. Some people cry when something happens, or some people don't cry. And it's okay. Some of those things we just have to accept that is who we are. These are our triggers. Suppose I have to cook for 20 people, I may start crying. But some people might say, no, I can cook for 50 people and still be smiling and look fresh. And so basically, for us to know that some of the things are our stressors and some of the things are our triggers. And once we befriend our body, befriending the body is to understand, okay, now I have to take rest. So if I'm going to cook for 20 people tomorrow, let me do this, sorry brothers, I'm talking about cooking, but I mean, suppose you have to do a project, then you say, let me take, do it in chunks, let me break it up, let me see how I can do it easily. So that the stress doesn't become overwhelming. So we get habituated to the stress. And what is habituation? So Stanita, I'll pick on you. What is your favorite thing to eat?
Everything.
Me too. Me too. Any one thing? Paratha. So suppose I give you paratha for breakfast, lunch, and dinner 10 days in a row. You might say I still eat. Will you still like it as much?
It will be too much because body cannot handle it.
Exactly. Body cannot handle it, and sometimes we get bored of doing the same thing. If for the children, you remember, like when you buy them a PlayStation game, until you buy it, oh my God, it's the only thing that they need in the world. But after you buy it, after a week, it's in some corner of the house, and you ask them, where is it? They say, what game? So basically, that is the process of habituation. So even with any of these anxieties, any of these fears, that is the process of habituation, where after some time we won't be anxious about it. I know all of you sisters here who do so much work, and especially when there are any retreats or any service activities, you'll do such an amazing job. For you, it's just like, okay, we'll just do it, because you have done it so many times. For somebody like me, will be like, oh my God, I have to do so much, and be nervous about it. But that is the habituation, and brothers too, I mean, all of you do so much. So basically, the habituation part of it is when we expose ourselves to the fear. Don't be afraid of your anxiety. If you're anxious of something, don't be afraid of that. Just expose yourself. Suppose I'm anxious that my daughter is driving, then I have to sit with her every time she's driving and tell myself it's okay for me to drive. If I'm scared of the spider, I have to walk by the spider 10 times. So after some time, I know that the spider is not going to eat me. The story in my amygdala is going to change. So whatever the fear we have related to the anxiety, whatever the stress we have related to the anxiety, will reduce and will come down to a place where we can handle it. And we may still be anxious, like driving on the snow, I might be anxious, but if I tell myself it's snowing outside, I'm not going to drive on the snow, I'm going to be more anxious. So I have to face that fear. I have to go out into the snow and then basically start driving a little, and the more I drive, it becomes easier. And just looking at the time, just making sure, brother, please tell me if I'm going beyond that. And so, and then basically that is called befriending the fear, befriending the activity and getting habituated to it. And once we know our inner stresses and outer stresses and the world stresses, it becomes so much more easier for us not to go to a different place completely. And one of the biggest thing is being mindful. So for me, if I'm anxious about my daughter driving, if I yell at her and scream at her when she's driving, is it going to get rid of my anxiety? No. So I have to be mindful, it's me, I'm the one who's having the problem. So I have to be mindful that, okay, let me see how I can center myself. And Swami has this beautiful way of reminding us every time that the Karna Shruti, to have the integrity of thought, mind and action. So my integrity of thought, mind and action should be is like, I'm getting anxious and I should not yell at my daughter. I have to make sure I'm dealing with things my way rather than, yelling at her or telling her, you're going right, you're going left, or, sometimes we try to do the piloting over there, backseat piloting. So one of the things is, because anxiety has a way of creeping into our body, into our daily experience, it's always going to be there. We can't conquer this enemy. We cannot even understand it sometimes. So why am I getting anxious? My daughter is going to an exam in Baltimore, why should I get anxious here? But we just feel that way and say, let it be, that's the way I am. So let's do, that helps us to go to a different place. So what we'll do for 1 second is, we'll do an exercise called a mindful moment. So if you would like to, please breathe into the count of 4 and breathe out to the count of 4. And you can close your eyes if you want to, and you don't have to otherwise. Imagine that you're walking on a mountain trail on a crisp autumn day, just like today. You're so focused in the walking, the green grass, the blue sky, the white clouds, that you're not thinking about the past, you're not thinking about the future. In your mind, connect with someone who gives you peace and love. Swami, your spouse, your child, your grandchild. This state of being alive and whole in the present moment is always available. It is free. It is a free antidepressant. It is present and always available. Sometimes it gets away from us, but now you have it. Now you've experienced it. For 30 seconds, please just indulge in it. I hope you enjoyed it. And sometimes what happens is it's very difficult because when you're having a lot of different things to do, it becomes very difficult to do this. It's very difficult to calm our mind. It's very difficult to focus on the green grass and the blue sky. It's always there. And so Swami has suggested a beautiful way, which is breathing. Breathing or pranayama. We'll talk more in a second, but just remind yourself that this breathing is the most beautiful thing. Ramana Maharshi also used to say that the best way to reach your inner self, your inner supreme consciousness, is to breathe. And scientifically what it has shown is when we do the breathing, it calms the amygdala. So it helps us to concentrate on what we are doing now. So when we did this 30-second thing, it calmed us to be here in that second, in that moment of what we are doing, and not worry about, the past, my brother said this, or the future of, oh my God, I have to buy that. So any of those things. And so simple exercises like breathing, and I'll talk more about breathing. And one thing is like all of us have sky pictures, so we call it green dot meditation. So you can put your Swami's picture, or your grandchild's picture, your child's picture, or anything that you love, your spouse's picture on that, and look at it and take a second to breathe in and breathe out. So that will give you the calmness, and it's called green dot meditation. That I can send you handouts for this, so you can forward it to them afterwards. So it will give you some moments of peace, and what it will do is it will help you to calm your amygdala. So when it helps you to calm your amygdala, it's easier to try to tell the amygdala to change the story a little bit. Now, remember one of the things I spoke about, making stress your friend, right? And you might say, Rani, how can I make stress my friend? Because stress is like so difficult to deal with. Stress, we are breathing. What happens is when we're stressed, our heart is beating faster, our blood pressure goes up, we're not focused on what we're doing, and your stomach sometimes is upset. Like somebody might be telling you something, your brain is somewhere. So all those things happen. So like how to make stress our friend. So basically one of the biggest thing about making stress our friend is to accept the situation, to understand the situation better, and then see how you can address it. Sometimes you can address it and sometimes you may not be able to. We have to just accept it. Sometimes like I know that driving in the snow is going to be slippery. I cannot change it. I have to just learn how to go on the ice and snow. And then try to do different things that would assist you, like breathing is one of them, and will assist you to come to a place where you can make friends with it. Making friends with something is, we don't love all our friends, right? We love some of them. And so, I know, I opened up a secret, but no. But basically, and so basically the thing is, stress is something that's there. Just please try to see how you just accept it into your life. And I wanted to show you this beautiful video because, she is a social psychologist, Kelly McLaughlin. She's a social psychologist in, social psychologist in Harvard University, and she does a very good job of expressing this. There's a bigger video too, but I'll just share a small video, and I'll send you the bigger one too later.
Can changing how you think about stress make you healthier? Here the science says yes. When you change your mind about stress, you can change your body's response.
Sorry. Let me see how I can get it to the video, right?
It's the let me start with the study that made me rethink my whole approach to stress. This study tracked 30,000 adults in years, and they started by asking people, how much stress have you experienced in the last year? They also asked, do you believe that stress is harmful for your health? And then they used public death records to find out who died. Okay, some bad news first. People who experienced a lot of stress in the previous year had a 43% increased risk of dying. But that was only true for the people who also believed that stress is harmful for your health. People who experienced a lot of stress but did not view stress as harmful were no more likely to die. In fact, they had the lowest risk of dying of anyone in the study, including people who had relatively little stress. The harmful effects of stress on your health are not inevitable. How you think and how you act can transform your experience of stress. That pounding heart is preparing you for action. If you're breathing faster, it's no problem. It's getting more oxygen to your brain. When you choose to view your stress response as helpful, you create the biology of courage. And when you choose to connect with others under stress, you can create resilience.
Oh, good. I didn't realize I could do that. Thank you. So isn't that such a beautiful little piece? And I'll send you a latter video of hers, which is very, very nice. And she will help you to also understand how to make stress your friend. So, like Swami, and many of you probably heard this because I'm talking to the experts here. We always don't want stress, we don't want anxiety because we want peace, right? We want peace and happiness and contentment. That's all we want. So one devotee asked Swami, I want peace. And so what Swami says is take away the I, which is the ego, and take away the want, which is the desire, and then you have peace. So basically, I know that's very difficult to do, and we're all practicing, but we'll keep practicing, and thanks to Swami, he will help us to practice that. But basically, it's that simple, message that we can keep like contemplating on and reverberating on, so then he'll help us, because one of the biggest things Swami's made it easy for us is to say God is love, God is peace. So if we just close our eyes and say God is love and have a complete faith in Him, then we can live in love. And love is the biggest thing, and it's the biggest property we have, because beyond that we can't give anything else to anybody. Even if I have $1 million, I can't give it to anybody except for love. And like one of the things is like sometimes it's so easy for us to say, how can we, Swami will say surrender to me, right? So for us, it's very difficult to surrender to Swami because we have so many attachments. Everything is attachment. So we had, Krishna Swami uncle, he had come to our center once, and he was like really so amazing. He said, yes, we can't surrender, but we can attach. We always like to attach to things. So we can attach to His feet. So I thought that was the most beautiful teaching he gave, because I like to attach to things, but I cannot give away things, So, but that was a beautiful message. And coming to the same thing, to make a list of things that you can remove or detach from. Make a list of things that you can dedicate yourself to, whether it's your family, whether it's your friend, whether people around yourself. And the more you do that, the more it becomes easier to not get stressed, because you're focused on these things. Remember the amygdala? There's only one, though we all think we are multitasking, but we can't. Every millionth of second, there's only one thought that can go through our brain, through that thalamus. So that one thought, if it is related to dedication and surrender and love for God, then why would we have stress, right? So, it will be there, but it won't bother us, it won't pull us down. And of course, our mind is like the monkey mind. Swami always says that. So we're always jumping from one thing to another to another. And in my SSC class, I had a beautiful video of the monkeys jumping from the pole to the tree. I know many of you would have seen that. And that monkey mind is just like our mind because we're always thinking of different things. Even as we're sitting here, maybe we're thinking of, oh, what do we have to cook for dinner? How do we clean up this? And I mean, that is how our mind is. And so Swami says that it's okay for us to just like remember that and try to remind ourselves that we are a group of thoughts. Our mind is a group of thoughts, and we're always trying to desire for liberation, but we're getting attached to things around us. So the more we attach ourselves to Swami, surrender ourselves to Swami, it would help us. And one of the biggest things that Swami says is COD. So sealing off on desires, and all the SSC teachers here are probably so familiar with it, and we always try to tell our children and learn from our children as we teach them in the class that the only way to have God is to have a ceiling on desires as much as possible. Even with the first story of the farmer, the ceiling on desires, if he said, okay, doesn't matter if it's 99 coins, we'll donate it. And so then, I mean, if he had done that, he would not even have any concerns. And Swami always says, reduce your luggage for your travel. Simplify your life. See whatever you can do to simplify your life. Sometimes we want to do many, many things in our world, but Swami will direct us. Sometimes I think that for me, coming here is also Swami's purpose, because he has a plan and the reason for everything for me to learn from you and, to share different things. And because the more desires we have, we all know that more restless we are. And so for one moment, we'll have this little exercise. So for 30 seconds once again, either reflect on a moment in the last time where you got stuck with the autopilot. Autopilot is where you're thinking of the same thing over and over again. Or reflect on a time when you found yourself aimlessly shifting from task to task, like especially for ladies when we have, a get together, that's what we're doing. Oh my God, I have to clean this, I have to put this, I have to do that. So like shifting aimlessly from task to task. For 30 seconds, please just sit, focus into your mind and look at that thought process. How did you feel? Was your mind full or was your mind full? Can anybody share how you felt when you reflected on the last time when you were stuck in autopilot? What happened? Any brothers or any sisters? Yes,
You feel a lack of purpose.
yes. You feel a lack of purpose. Very true. You can't even do the main thing you're trying to do, right? There's one wise person who would, like in her lectures, she would say, we go to the grocery store to buy milk. So people like me, we go to the grocery store to buy milk. I buy everything else except milk and I come back home. And so I say, oh my God, I forgot to get the milk. Now I have to go back again to get the milk, right? So that is like how our mind is full and, we're not mindful of that moment. And my mother-in-law, some of you know my mother, she's 95 years old. She's so mindful. She knows, she's 95 but she's sharp. She'll remember everything. So she will remember somebody's birthday. She's very active on Facebook and WhatsApp. So she'll message, like with the Satyam Shamsuddin, she's the first one who finishes the chapter. She finished the book. So she's like, I finished the book. Why are people taking so much time to read? So it's like that is the mindfulness, and that is through practice and practice and practice. And so we all hope to be there one day. But and Swami has also given us some easy ways to tame our monkey mind. And because we are so lucky. We are all very lucky because Swami is with us. The Namasmana, Japam, and Dhyanam. So whenever you're feeling your mind is too overwhelmed, sit down in a calm place. You can do, of course, Namasmana anyway. Sing a song or put the Swami's bhajans. Go do some slokas. Whatever way you want to do Namasmana. And Japam is like, you can do Likita Japam. You can just, keep on saying the prayers to yourself. however you want to do it, just do whatever is peaceful to you, whatever is calm to you. And suppose you're not able to, sometimes you're very anxious, you're not able to, we thankfully have YouTube. God bless YouTube. So put on YouTube, put on some bhajans, put on some sounds, just listen to it. That will at least calm your mind down. And the Swami doesn't want us to watch too much TV and other electronic. Social media is bad. I'm not encouraging social media, but if you're very, very overwhelmed, it may be a way that can help you. Please remind yourself that sometimes we are aimlessly texting and aimlessly messaging and aimlessly looking at the computer. If we can reduce that, that would be a good thing as much as you can. And Dhyanam is, of course, Swami always recommends that. I know there's some people in this center who get up at 4:30 and who do it for amazing, amazing people who inspire me a lot. And so that Dhyanam is really what Swami says can help us with our monkey mind, help us to be mindful and be in this present place and not go to different places. Because what it does, it not only helps us to remind ourselves of God's grace, but it also helps us to remind ourselves of our own purity, our own patience, and our perseverance. So every single person has Swami inside you. So for us to realize that, these are the tools. So never forget that like Swami, what does he call us? Quiz person. What does Swami call us? Yeah. So he knows that we have him inside us to remember that all the time. And like we spoke about acceptance, like totally remind yourself that you just have to accept certain things that are difficult for us and certain situations that are difficult for us and surrender to the situation that we are dealing with. And when you say surrender, you might say, how can I surrender to certain things? Like suppose, say, somebody in my family is not well, and you might say, how can I surrender to that? I'm anxious. How would you ask me to surrender to? In those cases, what we have to surrender is surrender that whatever is happening has a reason. God is doing it well. I know sometimes when we're very sad, it's not possible to do that. But just do the japam, dhyanam. God will give you the strength to cope with that, strength to deal with that, strength to accept that particular situation at that particular time as much as possible. And this is a very beautiful quote that Swami has given us. And I would like to take a second for that, brother. I'm okay with time, right? Okay. So this one, Swami says that anxiety is removed by faith in the Lord. The faith that tells you that whatever happens is for the best and that Lord's will be done. Quiet acceptance is the best armor against anxiety, not acceptance of the heroic part. So the heroic part comes from the ego. Like, where I say, I can do this, I have to do this, I have to get myself out of the problem. But when I accept, okay, this is the situation, I have to deal with it. And Swami will give us the courage, he'll give us the idea.